and welcome to episode 6 of my Christmas decorating series. This week we are out on the veranda, or porch, I call it a veranda, and I love to style this area. In the summer I went with pops of pink and green, switching to all those autumnal colours and pops of brown in the autumn. Time to sprinkle some Christmas magic on here, so I've cleared everything off. Apart from in this bookcase, I quite like the items that are there, so they're definitely going to stay. And as always, a really good clean is needed. Despite the near freezing temperatures, I've got 2 coats on, so I'm quite cozy. I am pushing ahead with it and making everything as clean as I possibly can for this time of year. So now that's done, it's time to start decorating. But before I do that, I'm going to bring in a few key pieces of furniture that I want to use. Now, this side table normally lives in the snug, which is the living area just off the kitchen. It's where the Christmas tree is at the moment. And I thought, rather than put it into storage, I'll use it out here along with the vintage mirrors that normally sit on top of it. I often get asked, do I use any fixings on these mirrors? How do they not slide off, fall over? And you know, they're so heavy that if you just get them at the right angle, they seem to sit there quite happily. Plus the veranda is very sheltered and all the way along that back wall never gets hit with weather. If you'd like to see how I did the effect on the table and the chairs, do check out my summer porch decorating video. I'll pop it in the description below. Now, these big old oak armchairs that I picked up from auction some years ago and did a paint effect on, I'm going to move those out of the way because I have a rug. I've bought a new rug for winter and I'm really excited to get it out. It's the first time that I've used a proper outdoor rug. I normally use wool ones, but I was looking for quite a large size for this winter and I found this one half price on Amazon. Again, I'll link it below. And it was such a great size and there was 50% off. So I think it was probably around about £60. It wasn't a huge amount of money as far as rugs are concerned. And I love the neutral rustic tones in it. And I thought that will match perfectly with the whole look and feel that I'm going for this Christmas. And not just for Christmas. I think this will carry me through probably till summer now. So it's really good value. Now the rug's down, I'm going to start getting those bits of furniture back into position. The cane sofa, which was a charity shop find with a couple of chairs, I bought that as outdoor furniture, which is super value at £40 for a sofa and 2 chairs, because I love using indoor furniture outdoors. Now I've got those chairs into position and I do like to make sure I've got my angles correct. I'm going to pop that little side table back in and then I'm going to bring on some potato chitting trays. Now, if you've followed me for a while, you know that I use these all over the place. I've even used them indoors as well this year, but more of that next week. So I'm going to take one of the trays and put it to one side of the sofa, almost like a side table, and then do the same on the other side. Now the other 4, I think we're going to make a coffee table out of them. Through summer and fall, I did have a proper coffee table out here, but I decided actually for winter, for Christmas, with this whole rustic natural theme, the potato chitting trays would work much better. Now onto those side tables, I'm going to be popping on some little pine trees. Well, I say little, this is the size of them 3 years ago when I bought them. And they've grown quite big. I keep on potting them on and they just keep on growing. I started with 10. I only lost 2 because I forgot to water them. They live outside all year and then I use them in the Christmas decorating. And yes, I do bring them into the house. To hide the black plastic pot, I've been using old sacks that I had, but I only had a few of those. And I've not got enough hessian or burlap, as you call it. Then I came across this mesh ribbon that that I bought years ago from Costco. I must have put it in the back of a cupboard and either decided not to use it, and then I've completely forgotten about it. So I thought that might be ideal to wrap around and round the black pot in order to hide it, but then quite how to attach it and how to finish it off. So I came up with the idea that I would use a long Hessian ribbon, tie it around, and then just do a little bit of faffery and pulling it down and just giving a bit of sass. The gold colour as well follows the Christmas theme, although remember we're not calling it gold, we're calling it brass. So we've used brass twigs, brass candlesticks and copious amounts of my favourite gold spray, but we call it a brass spray. Well, I'm happy with that super simple solution, and onto the sofa. Dress it with cushions? No, I don't think so. I've got another idea. We're very fortunate here to have land, and I've got an endless supply of beautiful greenery and twigs and leaves, and I can wander down here any time of the day and night and snip away to my heart's content. Now I'm going to carry on playing with this mesh. Well, I found it now. I want to use it. It's a freebie. It's a sudden surprise. But I tell you, it is a surprise trying to get this off the roll. It's got a will of its own. It goes all over the place. And I'm trying to get these lengths off, and I'm wrestling with it. The knees are out, and finally I get this thing under control, and I'm ready to construct my porch sofa Christmas statement piece. Well, that's what I'm calling it anyway. On to the coffee table. Now, because we've made such a statement with the sofa, I'm going to keep it very simple on the coffee table. I'm taking a basket that I picked up from auction, and then I'm adding old packing material. I always save my packing material. A piece of Hessian burlap on the top just to tie in with the theme. And then a big collection of different types of acorns, pine cones, some of which I've coloured over the years. I've added bits of paint. And I think because we're on a very white veranda, I'm fine to bring out those pine cones that have got the white paint added to them. Now you may be wondering why on earth I've dressed the sofa in the way that I have, and why am I not using it to sit on? To be honest, in the winter months, there's only really me and possibly hubby who will sit out here. So these two chairs are absolutely perfect for us. And I downgrade my indoor cushions to outdoor cushions, as I do with the throws as well. I've gone for all the old white ones just to tie in, you know, with that really cold, frosty Christmas theme. A couple of books, a brass candlestick, and we need one more addition. to dress the table. Again, I'm going to keep this really simple but make it into a statement piece. I'm using the tubs that I used last week. If you saw last week's video, I emptied out lots and lots of chocolates into a big glass jar. So the plastic tubs are great to use in bigger containers if you want to add water. I want to put lots of fresh greenery clippings into this box. So the tubs are great for that. I absolutely hate waste, and particularly with plastic. So if I can get several uses before it goes off for recycling, I most certainly will. So I'm making sure that the greenery is hitting the water each time. And as it's really cold out here, and it's in water, it's going to last a long time. Now these teasels, I picked these last winter and hung them up in the garage. You saw these in my autumn decorating, in my fall decorations, and they're going to be used again in the winter ones. I love the little pops of brown that they bring. I've used brown pampas in the house, but obviously I don't want to use dried pampas outside in the moist air. So the teasels are great to continue that theme, but obviously they're much easier to work with outdoors than pampas grass is. Here is my furry supervisor, Bertie. Now, I had lots of lovely messages last week. Bertie wasn't in the kitchen video, and that's because he was away with Daddy on a trip. But he is back now and eager to supervise my decorating. He's obviously given me instruction here on how to get fairy lights onto this twig heart that I picked up from HomeSense some years ago. Now, I really don't like sockets, and if I can hide them, I will do. And so I'm balancing a crate over this outdoor socket here and then just feeding the wire underneath, so it hides it and creates some visual interest as well with the old crate. With the furry supervisor looking on, as always, I am going to move on to this side of the veranda now and bring some Christmassy feels all the way along here. This bookcase, as I said right at the beginning, I was quite happy with the items on here. So I think I'm just going to introduce some greenery, and that will probably be it on there. I'm going to bring on a few key pieces before I start putting any decorations on. When I decorate a space, I approach it as I would approach painting a canvas. And I don't like to do really tight detail before I've put all my big broad brush strokes on, and I keep working around the canvas and keep layering up and then go into detail. Just the way I like to do it. Everyone has their own way. So I'm adding these different pots, which I'm going to add water to, and also one of the vintage sleighs. I have actually got 5 of them. And another one, this is number 5 coming out. I explained how I got them in my haul video, so do check out that one if you want to know the story. Lots and lots of big pieces, so not tiddly little items here. We're taking off some big branches. And then to weight it back, to keep it in position, I've got these old heavy stone bed warmers. As usual, the furry supervisor has found the comfiest spot on the veranda. He's loving this new rug and the throws out there. As I've got some good height at the front, I don't need to go all the way along that mantle with the greenery. So that's left space for a little ornament. Now, I do like to work in a tidy way, so the dustpan and brush is never far behind me. I'm quite happy with the balance of that greenery now. So now we're going to go on to some of the twigs. The reason I'm putting these twigs in this area is because I am going to be running lights the whole way along, and I'm using green wired cluster lights. So it is really going to stand out if it was just lights on that windowsill, on that area there. As always, my lights are on a tube to stop them getting tangled up. And as always, the supervisor is watching. I've got 1,000 LED lights here, and fortunately it's worked out just enough to run from one end to the socket, which is just near the bookcase. Now I'm going to fill up those pots with water because obviously they're going to want to drink, and add a few more embellishments, add a few more pine cones. I've got these rusty stars. You'll have seen me use these out in the porch at the front of the property. They were from Home Sense some years ago and I left them outside to rust up. And I made a few of these wreaths last year just with whips with fresh growth from the field, from a tree that had come down. Now while I'm working, this sleigh keeps catching my eye and it doesn't feel right. So I'm going to take it off the veranda completely and I'm going to pop this one in its place. I think the tones just work so much better. I've got some old metal snowflakes here, so I've tied them either end of lengths of twine, and I'm just going to hang those over and alter the height slightly till I get them how I like them. Now the brass pot that I actually picked up in a charity shop for just £3 because it had a whacking great dent in it. So I managed with a hammer on the inside, a little toffee hammer, just to tap the dent out, and it's going to work perfectly because it's bringing that brass outside that we've used all the way through inside. Again, I'm using the packing material trick that I often use to fill up a vessel so you don't need too many fillers at the top. I do hope all the tips and tricks have been useful that I've been showing you in this Christmas decorating series. Everything I do can be scaled down, and it can also be scaled up if you want to go for even bigger statement decorating. Next week there's going to be the full Christmas tour, and there's going to be a room, the winter sitting room, that you have not seen me decorate. I actually did that one without filming myself, and there's a few little surprises in there as well. So if you have not turned on notifications already, the little bell next to the subscribe button, please do, because that will inform you as soon as I make any kind of post, a community post, or indeed post a video. And of course you can watch the whole decorating series again. It's on the playlist Christmas 2023.